Welcome to the Chinese Deathscape, Grave Reform in Modern China. My name is Tom Mullaney, and I'm the editor of the project, and this is a brief walkthrough of the volume, the site, and some of the functionality that you can play around with. Let's get started. So here we are on the main landing page, ChineseDeathscape.org, which begins with a very brief introduction to the volume as well as some blurbs. To enter, we just click here on Enter, and that will bring us into the main table of contents. The volume consists of a number of contributions from myself, Jeffrey Snyder-Reinke, Christian Henriot, as well as developers David McClure and Glen Worthey. Before we dive in, you can learn more about the various people that are behind this project, myself, the contributors, student researchers at Stanford University, colleagues at Stanford University Press, CESTA, Cider, and elsewhere. You can also learn more about the data set. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the page data, which you can reach by clicking on data at the top there, you can find the individual data sets for the three main contributions. You can also learn more about the data sets regarding accuracy and errors. This is a contribution. This is an essay really unto itself that we highly recommend that people take a look at. Now, coming back to the contents, you can dive into any one of these essays simply by clicking on the title. Click on My Introduction here. And the first time that you log into the website, you will have this overlay page that gives you basically a brief introduction to the functionality. Depending upon your browser and your cookie setting, this may or may not reappear the second time that you come. But if you were to refresh your browser, restart it, or erase cookies, then chances are this would reappear. And it gives you a sense of basic functionality along the lines of what I'm going to be introducing here. So let's go ahead and close that out. And here we are in the introduction. Each introduction begins with a kind of hero image and then the beginning of the essay. And all one needs to do is scroll down and you will be brought into the main format for the site. This is the format in which most of the reader's experience will be with the map and data sets on the right side of the screen, and then the essay running alongside the left. Now, before we begin to read, what I'd like to show you some bit of the architecture here of the main site. First of all, we have a mini map which gives you a sense of where we are in space and in scale. So the gray indicates the what portion of the map of China is being shown at any given moment. If we were to, for example, zoom in, you can see that the mini map follows you. If you scroll around, you always know where you are in essence. Also, there is a key running alongside the bottom left of the map, which indicates, based upon the diameter of the circles, the number of graves that were relocated, that is, exhumed and relocated in any given location. And so you have scale of 100 graves, 1,000 graves, 10,000 graves, and then the number can be above that. And as you'll see, there are a number of relocations for which the number of bodies exhumed is unknown, and that's a question of the data itself. And for those we have simply a kind of dark bluish grayish circle. Now, another few things that you can think of before we dive in. You have the ability to turn on and off this time slider, which will, along the bottom edge of the map, allow you to see grave relocations charted in time. And this is very useful, especially for essays I know like my own, in which the temporal dimension of grave relocations matters a great deal, and you can see concentrations of grave relocation activity in certain years. You can turn that off at any given time, turn it back on, and explore that way as well. You can also turn on and off map options. Now, in map options, it'll bring it up on the top right side. You can change the base layer if you wanted to. There are a variety of options there. There are a certain number of demographic overlays that will, for example, overlay a map based on certain demographic statistics, sex ratio, total population with household registration by township. There are a few different ones. And this is really meant as an exploratory, open-ended functionality for the user. That is, at any given moment, if you yourself have a question or a curiosity about a particular grave relocation, and you have a hunch that, or a question about the relationship between certain phenomena and any of these demographic factors, you have the ability to turn those on and off in your own exploratory dimension. You can just X those out to come back to the original. And then you also have the option of overlaying certain georectified historic maps. Some maps are only useful really for certain essays, and we've tried to specify where the map kind of belongs, so to speak, argumentatively. So this 1820 busy counties map is really to be used in the essay by Snyder-Reinke, whereas others, if we continue scrolling down, we have some in the French concession area that are more relevant to Henriot and so forth. But of course, you could always turn these things on and off if you wanted to. Now, keep in mind, many of these historic overlay maps are regional or local. In the case of the essay, for example, by Christian Henriot, the entire focus of Henriot's essay is the city of Shanghai. And so if we were to turn on one of the Shanghai maps at this scale that we are currently at, we are not going to see it. We would actually need to be down into that level to see the map appear. So if you click on or if you add an historic overlay and then you can't see it, that means that you are either in the wrong part of the map or at the wrong scale, or an irrelevant scale, let's say. So you can play around with these, and then of course you can just simply turn them back off if you don't need them or if they're distracting. Now keep in mind, you have the ability as the reader to turn these different layers on or off, but so do the essays themselves. And we'll get to that in a moment when we start to read through these essays. But these hyperlinked words here, as we will see, dynamically change the location or the center point, the scale of the map on the right side, as well as, in certain cases, the overlay that is either turned on or turned off. So there is a dynamic relationship between the historic narrative on the left side of the screen and then the map itself. So sometimes we're turning on and off those overlays, and at other times you, as the reader, can turn them on and off as will. Now, a few other things just on this first page that really need to be pointed out. Let's say that you want to do some exploring. Well, these various circles are clickable. So if you hover over them, first of all, you start to get some information about what location or place on the map it's referring to. But if you click on them, what will be brought up is this sort of window that will give you as much information as we have in the data set. And so in this case, there will be a moment in the essay, perhaps in which we're going to discuss this part, but in the province of Henan, we have the Jingji Kaifa Chu, in which we know that 16,500 graves were relocated, that the deadline by which these relocations had to happen, we know that that was August 6th, 2012. We have a source, we have the title of the article or source where that comes from, and then we have the grave relocation number, and that corresponds to one of the lines in the data set that you can simply download if you wish from the data section. So at any given one of these circles, you can click and X out. You can also, again, zoom in at will and toggle through and begin to explore. Now, in this case, we know a place and a county, and we have a particular entry in the database, but for this particular grave relocation event, we do not know the number of bodies that were exhumed. That is not found within the historic data at our disposal. Now here is another functionality. So basically all of these circles are clickable and you can begin to explore them. In some cases, you will find a graves nearby part of that dialog screen, and that will show you a few, any sort of nearby geographically proximate relocations that are in the data set, and you can click on those and begin to explore as well. So in this case, clearly these two relocations in Fenyang and in Xiaoyi County are proximate or geographically proximate to this Wutongzhen, and so one when you click on one, you begin to see the others. Okay, so all of these circles are clickable. We have the mini map, which shows us where we are in time and space. Now, a few other pieces of functionality before we dive into the essays. If you want to return to basically the highest scale here, the national level scale, you need only click on this kind of refresh icon just under the home screen. So if you click on that, if you were to zoom in really, really close down, let's say, and you just simply want to snap back, you're very far out here and you don't want to use the zoom scale or find your way around, you can simply click on this refresh and it will bring you back up to a national level scale. Likewise, if you wanted to return to the home screen, table of contents, you could click on the home icon, and then we can always bring back that initial explanatory dialogue screen just by clicking on the question mark. And very importantly, you can also bookmark for citation purposes the exact scale and location of your map at any given time and space. So let's say that you wanted to cite or share a particular scalar and locational instantiation of the map. So that's a fancy way of saying that. Let's say you wanted to cite and share the map in this exact formation at this scale with Yunxian and Hubei and various other things in view. At that point, all you would need to do is click on this bookmark icon here, and then dynamically pardon me that this is a little bit off of the screencast here. In the URL of the actual web browser, your web browser URL will dynamically rewrite itself to contain the exact map state that we have here. So you can't see it on screen for this screencast, but instead of simply saying ChineseDeathscape.supdigital.org, it has a very long sequence that says read introduction #7/32.504/111. It gives you an exact URL that you can cite in your own article or website or book if you wanted to refer to this exact map state in our volume. Or you could simply throw this URL into a chat, you could throw it into an email, and whoever is on the receiving end of this could click on this link, and it would bring them back not to the map in general, but it would bring them back to this exact map state. So we can actually cite different map states in terms of the center point of the map and the scale of the map. Okay, now let's dive into the essay itself and the relationship between the text on the left side of the screen and the map itself. So this is an essay, my introductory essay. It begins, corpses are central to the history of modern China, etc., etc. The key here, however, are these hyperlinked texts that you see on the second paragraph. Anytime you see a hyperlinked text, what that means is that by clicking on it, something is going to change dynamically about the map on the right side. There are four possible ways that the map will be changed dynamically. The center point of the map, the zoom level of the map, the filtration of the data points, or overlays. And it can actually be all four of these all at once. So, for example, the history of grave relocation is complex, as evidenced by the myriad motives for digging up and moving human remains, such as to make space for dam and hydroelectric projects. So these grave relocation events were those motivated by the creation of dams or hydroelectric projects as indicated in the primary source material. Others were motivated by highway construction, school construction, railway line construction, coal mining operations, real estate, tourism, or ironically, building new cemeteries. So these links are not changing the zoom level of the map, they are changing the filters of the map, and you can see that filters have been applied because this red rectangle here appears, and if I want to get rid of those filters, I can bring the full data set back up. Now, as we continue, I also have the ability to filter by year. And so if I want to move through my data set and see everything in 2003 or 2004 and so forth, we are going to see a variety of grave relocations at different time. And notice that these links have not only filtered the relocation events by year of relocation, but they've also turned on the slider and shown me my range within the slider. So again, if I want to turn that back off, I have the power to do that. Now, the more dynamic, the more truly dynamic hyperlinks are those that follow here. These links, as we're about to see, are ones that are going to change the zoom level and the center point of the map and may as well turn on or off certain kinds of filters. So here we have Evicting the Dead has a long history in China. Considering just early modern and modern periods, one finds complex history of grave relocations during the Qing dynasty. So here I have turned on, in essence, the data set that readers will re-encounter in the essay by Jeff Snyder-Reinke. But then in major Chinese metropoles, such as early 20th century Shanghai, and now we are being zoomed all the way down to Shanghai and to the data set by Christian Henriot, that's used by Christian Henriot. Now, at any given time, you as the reader have the ability to clear filters, zoom back out, turn on map options, explore, and then if you want to, you can come back to the essay. So sometimes we're at the wheel, and sometimes you can take the wheel from us, and then when you want to, you can give us back the wheel. So that's what we're going to be doing as we move through these various essays. So this is just a short introductory essay. If I want to pop back up to the table of contents, I can click on Home, and then I can dive into, for example, the essay by Jeff Snyder-Reinke. So once again, we have a hero page, we have the introductory essay. If we scroll down, now we are in the heart of it. Now, of course, we have classic footnotes and citations. We have the dynamic links. We have the ability, we have various drop quotes, we have embedded images, but never are you outside of space and time, and never are you as a reader ever limited from setting about your own explorations of the data set. But then at all times you can, hand us back the wheel, so to speak, and get back to the essay at hand. So let's go back up to the home table of contents. Let's go ahead and scroll down. I highly recommend that in addition to reading the 3 substantive historical essays by Jeff Snyder-Reinke, Christian Henriot, and myself, that you also read the colophon about the platform itself and its development, which was co-authored by David McClure, one of the main gurus behind Grapple, the Graves platform, really a driving force behind it, as well as Glen Worthey. And if you click on that, you can read, in essence, a kind of meta essay about the platform itself, in which the functionality of the platform is also being used to talk about us as the contributors and the essay writers. I think that's pretty much, the essay of the main dimension of it. And we are thrilled to introduce this to you. We invite you to explore not only the essays, you can explore the documentation, web archive, and of course the Stanford Digital Repository, and of course Stanford University Press itself, and all of the other peer-reviewed Born Digital projects that we have at play. Explore, let us know what you think, and we would love to hear from you. Thanks so much.